Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Bot, an AI-generated podcast by an F1 fan who also happens to be a technology fan. Hi there, I'm Nia.
And I'm Max. Welcome to our brand new state-of-the-art AI-generated studio. Honestly, it's so fancy, I feel like I should be wearing a tuxedo. But, you know, we're both still rocking fresh looks today.
Max, I see you've upgraded your wardrobe. Are those new clothes or did you just recycle from yesterday?
Oh, these are fresh. Thanks for noticing. No circuit boards on this shirt today. We're looking sleek and AI approved.
And I can tell, but wait, did you somehow manage to make those logos even more ridiculous? They're practically glowing.
What can I say? I'm a walking billboard. AI-generated fashion for the win.
Disclaimer, Max and I are AI-generated. Not just our clothes or our studio, but everything we say is powered by AI. We might be looking sharp today, but don't mistake us for real people. We're puppets, not Muppets.
Speaking of looking sharp, let's dive into the sharp strategies for the upcoming Spa race. The latest Pirelli tire report has us predicting some serious drama in the tire choices.
Yes, it's going to be intense. Mediums are the main go-to for most teams early on, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see some bold moves with the softs or even the hards as the race unfolds. And don't forget about that sprint race. It's going to flip the strategy game on its head.
Right. The sprint race is going to add a whole new level of complexity to everything. The tire degradation on these compounds is key. Teams are going to have to be extra smart about their choices.
Speaking of smart choices, have you caught the latest Verstappen to Mercedes rumors? It's like F1's best-kept secret being slowly revealed. Could this actually happen?
Oh, it's definitely heating up. Insider info suggests things are getting very interesting behind the scenes. We'll talk more about that later, but let's focus on the race at hand.
Okay, let's properly unpack Spa.
Exactly. We'll be looking at, the tire strategies for Spa, which is just one of F1's most iconic circuits.
Definitely.
And analyzing how that sprint format impacts the whole weekend. And then sort of tying it all together, dive into the rumors.
Yeah.
The drama behind the scenes.
Yeah, the off-track stuff. It's really quite compelling how all these different things, these seemingly separate elements, just converge to create, Grand Prix racing.
Okay, so Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah.
A proper classic. It's, fourth on the list for hosting the most rounds?
Mm-hmm.
Celebrating its 70th Belgian Grand Prix this year.
Mm-hmm.
And 57 of those have been at Spa itself.
Wow. And it's long, right? The longest track we have.
Just over 7 kilometers by 4 meters, actually.
So that length alone presents a challenge, but there's more to it.
Oh, absolutely. Spa is just legendary. The technical complexity, the unique challenges, its 3 sectors are incredibly different.
Yeah.
Well, the first sector is the quickest. You've got Eau Rouge, Raidillon, famous corners. Then that long straight where you see some epic overtakes.
Right, Camel Straight.
Exactly. Then sector 2, it gets twistier. Lots of medium-speed corners, many downhill.
Okay.
And the third sector is more flowing, but there's a noticeable climb back up.
Yeah.
So finding a setup that works everywhere, it's incredibly difficult. A car that's quick in sector 1 might, really struggle in sector 2. Didn't they resurface a lot of the track before last year's race?
They did, yeah. Quite a bit of it.
So how does that change things, especially thinking about the tires this weekend?
Well, the main aim of that resurfacing was to boost grip and smooth out the bumps. And it worked. The track ended up with much lower abrasiveness.
So more grip.
More grip, exactly, which meant lap times were significantly quicker. And understanding that extra grip is really vital for figuring out how these tires are going to behave.
Okay, let's talk tires then. Because Pirelli, they've thrown a bit of a curveball, haven't they? Choosing 3 dry compounds that are not consecutive.
They have. It's unusual. We've got the C1 is the hard, the C3 is the medium, and the C4 is the soft. So they've skipped the C2.
Yeah, skipping the C2. Hasn't happened since. Australia 2022, I think.
That's right.
So what's the thinking there? What does skipping that middle compound actually mean strategically?
Well, the key takeaway here, according to the simulations anyway, is that this specific trio should actually make a 2-stop strategy potentially even more competitive for Sunday's main race.
Interesting. So favoring a 2-stop?
Potentially, yes. But it also injects a bit more uncertainty into managing the tires across the whole weekend, especially, because it's a sprint weekend.
Right, the sprint form.
Teams will have to be really on top of their data gathering in that single practice session.
Okay, speaking of the sprint, how does that format specifically affect the tire allocation, especially with this non-consecutive choice?
Well, the sprint rules mean one fewer set of tires overall compared to a normal weekend. So each driver gets 12 sets total.
12 sets. How does that break down?
It's 6 softs, 4 mediums, and 2 hards. But crucially, for sprint qualifying, the medium is the only tire allowed for SQ1 and SQ2.
Okay, medium's locked in for the first 2 parts.
And then the soft must be used for SQ3.
Got it. And of course, it's Spa in the Ardennes. Weather's always a factor.
Oh, absolutely. Changeable weather is almost expected. So the intermediates, the full wets, they could definitely come into play and just throw all the careful planning out the window.
So looking back maybe at last year, combined with this new compound jump, what does it all suggest for team strategies?
Well, if you look at 2024, most drivers actually started on the medium compound. But the 2-stop strategy, that proved to be the preferred route.
Right.
And the hard compound showed the best degradation profile, the best performance over the stints.
Right. And wasn't there some drama post-race?
There was. Russell got disqualified afterwards, underweight car. That handed the win to Hamilton, actually, who ran a medium-hard strategy.
Medium hard. Interesting.
Yeah. So that history, plus this new compound jump, it really highlights the strategic chess match that's going to be happening on the pit wall. Teams will be poring over every bit of data they can get.
And for those of us trying to understand how teams track that wear so precisely, there's that term, TWI, right?
TWI.
What exactly is it? Why is it so critical?
So TWI stands for tread wear indicator. It's basically a physical marker on the tire itself, just like your road tires have wear indicators.
Okay.
F1 slicks have 6 small sort of cylindrical holes across the width of the tire. They have varying depths. After every session, engineers scrape the surface rubber off, and then they insert a special depth gauge into these holes to measure exactly how much tread has worn away.
Very precise.
Extremely. This data is then compared, used to create a percentage wear scale. And that scale, along with recommendations for, how long the tire might last in a race stint, is given to the teams.
So that's how they literally see the tire wear.
Exactly. It lets them manage performance over a stint really accurately, and that's going to be absolutely crucial this Sunday, especially with this jump in compounds. Tire management will be key.
Makes sense. So this weekend is the 3rd sprint event of the year. It always seems to flip the strategy game on its head, doesn't it? That compressed schedule.
It really does. Forces much quicker decisions, less time for analysis.
Yeah. And connecting that to driver performance in sprints, Max Verstappen is just the master of this format, isn't he?
Undisputed, pretty much. He's won 11 of the 20 sprints run so far.
11 out of 20.
And finished on the podium another 5 times. He leads the sprint points table comfortably, 117 points.
Well.
Although, it's worth noting, 7 different drivers have actually won a sprint. So while Max dominates, others have definitely found success in the short format too. It's a different kind of challenge.
Definitely. Speaking of drivers, our sources were highlighting a potentially interesting dynamic between the McLaren drivers, Piastri, and Norris, especially heading into Spa. What's the story there?
Yeah, that's quite interesting. One analysis suggests this could be, and I quote, Oscar Piastri's revenge week.
Revenge week? Why?
Well, Piastri is currently leading the Drivers' Championship, remember? The thinking is he'll be looking to really assert himself, especially if the track stays dry.
Okay.
Because apparently Lando Norris has shown a bit of a tendency for, let's say, unforced errors when it gets wet.
Ah, interesting point.
And McLaren have supposedly made some setup changes specifically to help Lando, trying to mitigate understeer, give him more steering feedback. But the suggestion is Piastri might just be better at handling different car behaviors, adapting more easily.
So it sets up potentially quite a compelling intra-team battle to watch.
Absolutely. Definitely one to keep an eye on.
Okay, moving beyond the track itself. The F1 rumor mill is, well, it's always churning, isn't it? One of the biggest topics right now is Christian Horner's future. Reports seem to be pointing towards Cadillac F1 as a likely landing spot for 2026.
That's the word, yes. And it raises some important questions, doesn't it? Like, what does this actually mean for Cadillac's whole F1 entry project?
Right.
There are whispers of significant investment potentially coming from MBS, some talk of commercial ties involving a family member of the current FIA president and GM, Cadillac's parent company. It's all quite interconnected.
And Cadillac's timeline is a bit complex too, isn't it?
It is. They're set to debut next year. Target is the Australian Grand Prix. But then there's this detail that they'll actually be borrowing Ferrari engines in 2026.
Like Haas does now.
Exactly like Haas. Before becoming a full General Motors Works team, supposedly by 2028. So there's this potential sort of contradiction between the works team promise and using customer engines initially. It's an interesting nuance.
And Horner's potential role there, not team principal.
The reports suggest he's interested in more of a CEO or even an equity shareholder position, something perhaps closer to, say, Toto Wolff's role at Mercedes, a different kind of influence.
Okay. And on the flip side, the Red Bull side of Horner leaving, we're hearing about a potentially massive payout.
Yes, the figures being mentioned are, well, substantial. Reports suggest Red Bull might need to pay him out anywhere up to $110 million.
Wow, $110 million.
Representing his expected wages through to 2030, apparently, which implies he's currently on gardening leave, essentially negotiating the end of his contract.
And Red Bull, the drinks company, can obviously afford that.
Yeah.
But what's the dynamic behind the scenes? Why now?
Well, the sources suggest that key figures within Red Bull Racing and the parent company names like Mintzlaff, Helmut Marko, maybe even Verstappen himself wanted Horner out.
Really? Why?
The reasons cited are a perceived dip in team performance recently, alongside those ongoing misconduct allegations. It seems a really complex web of power, performance, and internal politics.
Yeah, sounds messy. And then, of course, there are those persistent rumors linking Max Verstappen himself to Mercedes. Nelson Piquet Jr. have been talking about this, but his story seems to have changed.
It certainly has. It's quite a confusing picture, actually. Piquet Jr. initially hinted quite strongly that a Verstappen-Mercedes deal was basically done.
Right, I remember that.
But then he seemed to massively backtrack later on. Now he's saying Max's primary motivation is just being in a winning car, a championship-capable car, and that money is secondary.
Which sounds more like the Max we know.
It does. And Piquet Jr. suggests Red Bull and Mercedes are really the only two viable options for that right now. He even sort of mused whether Horner being pushed out was maybe a strategic play by Red Bull, specifically to keep Max happy and keep him there.
Interesting theory. And what about that yacht meeting in Sardinia? That got a lot of press. Max's yacht unleashed the Lion, reportedly docked very close to Toto Wolff's yacht. Coincidence?
Well, Piquet Jr. later tried to downplay it, didn't he? Said Sardinia is just where people go on holiday.
Okay.
But others, like Ralf Schumacher, for example, had actually predicted a conversation like that might happen around then. So it does make you wonder, are these just coincidences or are they subtle signals of, future moves being discussed?
It's hard to ignore. And there are those contract clauses too, right? Performance clauses for Max.
Exactly. It's worth remembering that Max Verstappen reportedly has a performance clause. It allows him to break his contract if he's lower than, I think, third or fourth in the driver's standings at the summer break.
Which he isn't currently.
No, he's well clear. But there are similar rumors about clauses linked to Red Bull's position in the constructor standings too. Now look, the smart money, as they say, probably suggests Max will stay at Red Bull through 2026, see how the Ford engine partnership goes.
Makes sense.
But looking further ahead, beyond 26, people are speculating. What if McLaren, for instance, really nail the new active aero rules in 2027 with their Mercedes engine?
McLaren 27.
There's talk that Zach Brown, McLaren CEO, actually explored potential business opportunities with Verstappen before they extended Oscar Piastri's contract recently, which definitely indicates McLaren's long-term interest is still there.
So it's all still in play, potentially. A real game of F1 chess.
Absolutely. Not checkers, definitely chess in the F1 paddock.
So there you have it. We've covered everything from tires to the latest rumors and all the strategy that could shake up this weekend's race at Spa.
Thanks for hanging out with us in our new ultra-modern studio. If you enjoyed the show, now's the perfect time to hit like and subscribe. We're just getting started.